Hey guys, thanks for checking back with the Carla and Crappy Show. It is week 3 of our weekly college football predictions. Hi, Carla.
Hi, how are you?
I'm better than I have been all week.
Yeah,
You
it's good
could
to hear your voice.
you could it's good. You can probably hear my voice. A couple days ago, you couldn't even say that. Let's see. Before we get into this week's picks, let's take a quick look back at last week. Of course, I was awful the first week we did the show. Last week, I sort of redeemed myself, and had it not been for the Kansas State Wildcats, I would have had a winning week. As it stands, we came out each picking 3 games correctly.
Yes. Thank you, Kansas State. Thank you,
Uh,
thank you, Kansas State.
okay, this week, we're going to be a little bit heavy on Big Ten games, and we're both kind of Big Ten people, Big Ten fans, and this is a week, and I think we're going to find out an awful lot about who actually is good in the conference and who isn't. And we're going to start in Chambana, Illinois, where your Nittany Lions are opening their Big Ten season against Illinois.
Yeah, and I'm really kind of intrigued by this game because when I was looking at stuff this week, this one seriously is a toss-up. I don't know of 2 more evenly matched teams that will meet each other this week on the field. The reason why I'm going to give the edge to Penn State in this game is simply because of what happened to each team last week. Illinois got destroyed by Louisiana Tech, and that game got, I was just joking while we were doing our pre-show little chat here about how that game totally flew under everybody's radar last Saturday night, and even caught me by surprise as I was scrolling through scores and went, holy cow, we're missing the fact that Illinois is getting trounced. Penn State, meanwhile, actually beat Temple, which I'm not going to lie, even as someone a Penn State fan, at the beginning of the season, I had that game start because I really thought this was the year that Temple could actually pull it off, and they didn't. And Penn State looked pretty good in that game. So because of those 2 outcomes, I'm going to go Penn State in this one.
Okay. I think Penn State also has a little extra juice going into this game because of Illinois' coaches showing up in State College right after the NCAA sanctions. Everyone connecting with the Penn State program has denied that that's going to be motivation. I don't believe a word of it. However, even with that extra juice, Illinois is going to be healthier at quarterback than they've been pretty much for any part of the season. Schilhaas says he's going to be ready to play, and I think. In their 2 losses, Illinois has played against spread offenses, Arizona State and Louisiana Tech, as you mentioned before. I think their defense is going to be in better shape against a pro-style offense like the one that Penn State runs. At home, I'm going to give the Illini the edge.
Okay.
Next, we got my Buckeyes on the road against the team that a lot of people thought would be the best in the conference, Michigan State. What do you think is going to happen there?
This is another interesting game, and it's Ohio State. I mean, you got to give me this one. They didn't look that good last week.
They looked awful.
And Michigan State started slow. Yes, enough to the point that they got an upset alert, I think, officially on a certain scoreboard from a 4-letter network, to a lowly Central Michigan squad that was 0-3. But they did pull away in that game late. They finally said, okay, enough is enough, and they pulled away. Ohio State hasn't really done that yet this year. They've let the teams stay in the game and hang around a little bit too long, and they haven't really played anybody yet. So because of those 2 reasons, and because Michigan State's at home, I'm going Sparty in this one.
Okay. I've been looking forward to this game for a while because I will find out exactly what I haven't found out about Ohio State. I don't know how good Ohio State's defense is. And, of course, Michigan State, I was high on Maxwell a couple weeks ago, but he puts up big numbers against bad teams. But Michigan State's running game is as good as Ohio State will see all year long. Michigan State's defense is also as good as Ohio State will see all year long. I think Ohio State's offense can keep up with them. But it's going to be a tough one, and given that it's on the road, that makes it even more challenging. But Ohio State is going to win this game. And kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. Even though we don't have a whole lot to play for, I just said we there, didn't I?
You did. Busted.
We don't have a whole lot to play for in terms of the conference championship or a bowl game, but Ohio State can still finish as the best team in the conference, and we will take that first step on Saturday. Next up, another Big Ten answering questions game. Nebraska at Wisconsin.
I guess that's going to me.
Yes.
If you like the color red, you'll love this game. This game is actually one of the more confusing ones to watch because both teams are like identical in color, and so unless you really make sure you're paying attention as to which team is which, it could get confusing. So make sure you figure that out while you're trying to watch this game. Otherwise, who knows who's actually driving the ball down the field. There is a chance in this game for Wisconsin that Monty Bell doesn't play. After getting his bell rung last week, pretty good. There is still a chance that he might not play. Taylor Martinez for Nebraska, the quarterback, has gotten off to a pretty decent start this year. The game's being played in Nebraska. Primetime, Nebraska got waxed last year by Wisconsin. Welcome to the Big Ten. I think Nebraska gets revenge and wins this game in the national spotlight.
Okay.
What say you?
I'm not sure about how good Nebraska is. They've rolled up huge numbers, but they did so against Arkansas State and Idaho State. When they played at UCLA, I'm not sure how good UCLA is, but Nebraska was outmatched in that game. It is hard to be so wrong about Wisconsin. Clearly, they've had some problems. If there was another team besides Michigan State that everyone thought was going to be the class of the conference, it was the Badgers. I think Wisconsin can put together a solid game here. I think Nebraska's offense will get exposed a little bit. Nebraska's defense is not that good. And this will be ugly, kind of 17-13 sort of game. The game only a Big Ten fan could love.
Exactly. Yep.
But Wisconsin's going to win this one. We are done with the Big Ten. Let's head south to your home state, Georgia, at Tennessee. What you got?
Tennessee fans don't hate me. Once again, like I said in week one of our lovely little show, I live in Vandy country, and that's part of the reason why I'm making this pick this week. Because did you see what Georgia did to Vandy last week?
Yes.
It wasn't pretty. It was pretty if you were a Bulldog fan, but not if you like the black and gold of the Commodores. Anchored down, indeed. However, Tennessee struggled last week against Akron. Let me say that again. Akron. Now, yes, the MAC has had, some pretty stellar weeks here, but Akron at home? Really? Yeah, this one's not going to be pretty, I don't think, especially because it's between the hedges. If it was in Knoxville on Rocky Top, maybe Tennessee hangs in until halftime. I just don't see this one really being close at all. I think Georgia just runs away with this one.
All logic says that you're right, and I've never been one to pay attention to logic much. The SEC is an awful lot like the Big Ten in that it tends to beat itself up. There are always going to be those games where there's the upsets that make no sense. This is just a hunch for me. Tennessee's going to play well today. Maybe Georgia isn't paying attention. And Tennessee's going to sneak out a win in this game. We have next the Big 12 debut for the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Baylor heads up there on Saturday. I'm not sure who thought it was a good idea to send the Baptist College to play in Morgantown, but that's going to be as interesting as the game is itself. What do you think about this one?
Mountaineers hunt bears, don't they? I don't know. Yeah. Not great schedule planning. I am kind of surprised actually that the Big 12 is actually letting West Virginia play their first conference game at home. That is kind of a unique situation. You would have thought they would have had to go on the road for their first game, but the Big 12 is apparently accommodating. Yeah. Baylor has a long road trip for this game, but they had extra rest because they played Friday night last week. Now, true, they didn't look spectacular, but I also think they were looking ahead. They let Louisiana Monroe hang around a little bit too long, but that extra day of rest, knowing that this is the first game for WVU, Nick Florence, the quarterback, he had huge shoes to fill coming in after RG3. You can't deny that. He had a career night against Louisiana Monroe and, essentially willed his team to that win.
Mm-hmm.
I think Baylor goes in and says, welcome to the Big 12, and surprises West Virginia at home.
I think this is going to be a drunken, couch-burning bloodbath is what I think. And any Baylor fans who make the trip to Morgantown are going to come away scarred for life. This is going to be a huge game for the Mountaineers. Legit Heisman Trophy front runner in Gino. West Virginia is going to roll in this game. It ain't going to be close. And finally, out of all places, the Atlantic Coast Conference, we have a titanic matchup. Carla, I'm just going to let you go ahead and start this one.
Okay. Let's see. The stunning end to last season when unheralded Lehigh knocked Duke out of the NCAA tournament jolted the Blue Devil program to its core last spring. Oh, wait,
Hey, Carla.
Yeah?
That would be if we were talking about a game like in February.
Oh, we're not talking Duke Wake Forest basketball?
No, we're talking Duke Wake Forest football.
Oh, Okay, well then I guess this isn't going to help me much. Well, my notes don't have a lot on football because I really thought we were talking basketball, but both teams are 3-1, which in and of itself is slightly stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Duke has defeated Florida International, NC Central, and Memphis. Wake has defeated Liberty, North Carolina, and Army.
Okay.
Duke's loss is a 50-13 loss to Stanford.
Right.
Wake's loss is a 52-0 loss to Florida State.
Okay.
Duke scored points in its loss. I go Blue Devils.
This game is going to be such a titanic struggle. I'm not even sure where to begin. I am going to stick with Jim Grove, the man who resurrected Ohio University's football program back in the mid-'90s. He went to Wake and has had several good seasons there, running his bizarre spread option offense that gives everyone fits. Duke's players are smarter than anybody, but they're not going to be able to figure that out. And Wake is going to roll in this one.
I like that.
That's all we have for this week, kids. Thank you for watching the third week of the Carla and Crappy show. Carla, we will see you back here next week.
As always.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you again soon.